Thousands of years ago, high in the magnificent Andes Mountains, the Inca people called it the mother of all grains, the seed of the gods. But when Spanish conquistadors invaded, they banned this sacred crop, declaring it the food of savages and forcing indigenous people to abandon it. For 4 centuries, quinoa nearly disappeared from human memory. Today, we'll uncover the tragic yet miraculous story of quinoa, a superfood once forgotten, now feeding the world and offering hope for our future. First, let's clear up a common misconception. Quinoa isn't actually a grain. It's a pseudo-cereal from the amaranth family, more closely related to spinach and beets than to wheat or rice. For over 5,000 years, quinoa was the primary food source for the Inca civilization and earlier Andean cultures. They cultivated it at altitudes reaching 13,000 feet, elevations where most other crops simply cannot survive. The harsh conditions of the Andes, freezing nights, intense solar radiation, thin air, and poor soil, didn't just challenge quinoa, they made it stronger. Through millennia of natural selection, quinoa evolved into one of the most resilient crops on Earth. Each spring, the Inca emperor himself would plant the first quinoa seeds using a golden spade in an elaborate ceremony. Warriors ate quinoa before battle, believing it gave them supernatural strength. Mothers fed it to their children to help them grow tall and strong. It wasn't just food, it was sacred. But in the 16th century, when Spanish conquistadors conquered the Inca Empire, they did something devastating. They banned quinoa cultivation entirely. The Spanish forced indigenous people to grow European crops, wheat and barley. Instead, they saw quinoa as Indian food, primitive and inferior, something to be eliminated along with other aspects of indigenous culture. For the next 400 years, quinoa survived only in secret, hidden in remote mountain villages, grown by indigenous farmers who refused to let their ancestors' crop die. From seed of the gods to food of the poor. By the 1970s, quinoa had become so obscure that almost nobody outside of rural South America had even heard of it. The world had forgotten about this nutritional powerhouse, until scientists took a closer look. So what makes quinoa so special that NASA once considered it for long-duration space missions? Let's start with protein. Quinoa is one of the very few plant-based foods that contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein, just like meat, eggs, or dairy. For vegetarians and vegans, this is revolutionary. 1 cup of cooked quinoa contains about 8 grams of protein, double that of white rice. But it's not just the quantity, it's the quality. The protein in quinoa has a biological value comparable to casein, the protein in milk. The amino acid profile is particularly impressive. Quinoa is especially rich in lysine, an essential amino acid that's typically lacking in plant-based foods. Lysine is crucial for tissue repair, calcium absorption, and hormone production. This makes quinoa uniquely valuable for people who don't consume animal products. 8G complete protein, double that of rice. 5G fiber, supports digestive health. High in magnesium, iron, zinc, and manganese. Rich in antioxidants, particularly quercetin and camphorol. Naturally gluten-free. Low glycemic index, perfect for blood sugar control. Significant amounts of B vitamins, especially folate. Omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. But quinoa's nutritional profile goes even deeper. It's exceptionally high in magnesium, a mineral that 70% of adults are deficient in. Magnesium is crucial for over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including energy production, muscle function, and DNA synthesis. Just 1 cup of cooked quinoa provides about 30% of your daily magnesium needs. Quinoa is also loaded with powerful antioxidants, particularly quercetin and camphorol. These plant compounds have been shown to have anti-inflammatory, antiviral, and even anti-cancer effects in laboratory studies. In fact, quinoa contains higher levels of these antioxidants than typical antioxidant-rich berries like cranberries. Here's something crucial for metabolic health. Quinoa has a low glycemic index of about 53, compared to white rice at 73. This means quinoa causes a much slower, steadier rise in blood sugar levels. For people with diabetes or those trying to manage their weight, this is incredibly important. The high fiber and protein content work together to keep you feeling full longer and prevent energy crashes. Quinoa is also rich in iron, containing more iron per serving than many types of meat, making it excellent for preventing anemia. 1 cup provides about 15% of your daily iron needs. What's more, quinoa contains vitamin C, which actually helps your body absorb the plant-based iron more effectively. The zinc content, about 13% of your daily value per cup, supports immune function, wound healing, and even DNA synthesis. Manganese, another mineral abundant in quinoa, acts as an antioxidant and helps protect cells from damage during energy production. For pregnant women, quinoa is particularly valuable. It's rich in folate, a B vitamin crucial for preventing neural tube defects in developing babies. The combination of complete protein, iron, and folate makes quinoa an ideal food during pregnancy. In fact, quinoa is so nutritionally dense that international aid organizations now use quinoa-based formulas to combat malnutrition in developing countries. Studies have shown dramatic improvements in children's health and growth when quinoa is added to their diets. Children who were previously stunted showed remarkable catch-up growth, improved cognitive function, and stronger immune systems. For athletes and active individuals, quinoa provides an ideal balance of complex carbohydrates for sustained energy and protein for muscle recovery. The complete amino acid profile means your body has all the building blocks it needs for muscle repair and growth. And for the millions of people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, quinoa offers a nutritious alternative to wheat, barley, and rye. It's naturally gluten-free, yet provides similar versatility in cooking. You can make it into flour, use it in baking, or enjoy it as a grain substitute. In the 1980s and 90s, scientists rediscovered what the Inca knew all along. Research documented quinoa's exceptional nutrition. Health advocates and celebrity chefs took notice. Then in 2013, the UN declared it the International Year of Quinoa. Demand exploded. Prices surged tenfold, from $30 to over $300 per 100 pounds. Quinoa appeared everywhere: trendy New York cafes, London health stores, Tokyo restaurants. It became the symbol of wellness culture. But this success has a dark shadow. When prices skyrocketed, the indigenous farmers who'd cultivated quinoa for millennia could no longer afford their own crop. Families who'd eaten quinoa for generations now sold their entire harvest, buying cheaper processed foods, white rice, pasta, instant noodles instead. The cruel irony: children in quinoa-growing regions suffered malnutrition while their parents exported this superfood to wealthy countries. The boom caused other damage, too. Rapid expansion led to soil degradation and erosion. Traditional practices, refined over thousands of years, were abandoned for monoculture. The land that sustained these communities for millennia was being depleted. Fortunately, the story doesn't end there. Awareness has sparked change. Fair trade organizations now work with farming cooperatives, ensuring farmers receive fair prices and can feed their families. Some programs require quinoa stays in local communities. Others invest in schools and healthcare. Meanwhile, quinoa now grows in over 70 countries, from the Himalayas to North America, China to Kenya. Scientists have developed varieties for sea level and temperate climates. In the U.S., it's commercially grown in Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. This diversification reduces pressure on Andean regions while making quinoa globally accessible and affordable. Today, quinoa appears as flour, pasta, milk, protein powder, and snacks. Scientists study its genetic resilience. Could it help other crops adapt to climate change? In Vietnam, Sapa and Moc Chau regions, experimental farms show promise. For highland farmers worldwide, quinoa offers hope, a nutritious, high-value crop suited to challenging terrain. The grain that nearly vanished might now help solve malnutrition, climate adaptation, and food security. From the sacred seed of the gods to a forgotten food of the poor, and now back to global recognition. Quinoa's journey mirrors the resilience of the indigenous people who never gave up on it.